Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban, and welcome back to the program. If you've just joined us, we are on our Africa segment. And last week, there were hundreds of demonstrators that took to the streets of the Malawian capital, Lilongwe, after a video surfaced which appears to be the exploitation of children by a Chinese national. And the BBC documentary called Racism for Sale aired as well just around that time. And of course, people have been frustrated at what was seen and outraged by what was seen. And among those people that were organizing the march were the people from the Malawi University, and of course, the University of Malawi, rather, the Child Rights Clinic at the University of Malawi. I'm going to invite my guests who are joining us from Malawi, both different cities. We have Bettie Mlauzi. She is the former president of the Child Rights Clinic at the University of Malawi. Betty Mlauzi, good evening to you and welcome.
Good evening. Hello.
Hi, thank you very much for joining us, Betty. And we also have Comfort Mankhwazi. Comfort is the current president of the Child Rights Clinic at University of Malawi. Comfort, are you there? Are you still with us? Hello, Comfort. Can you hear me? Okay, I see she's with us.
Yeah, I
There,
can
there
hear
she
you
is.
now.
There, welcome. Thank you very much, Comfort, and welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Comfort, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to ask you about the protest that took place last week.
Okay,
Um,
I've lost you again.
have you lost me again? Okay. All right. Um, I can see you and hear you very clearly. I don't know if you're able to see me or hear me. All right. Let me go to Betty. Betty, I think Comfort's connectivity issues. She will join us. She will join in the conversation. Maybe we'll try and get her on the phone. But Betty, I'm going to come to you. Betty, tell us about how you found out about that particular video. Was it after the BBC documentary, or during the time in the lead up to it? When did you find out about that video? The video that we saw doing the rounds, and particularly very racist, saying that I'm a black monster and my IQ is low. Children being made to chant
Unfor-
those things in Mandarin. Yes.
Unfortunately, I also found out when the BBC aired their program, which was very sad as a child rights activist. I even felt ashamed. It
Hmm.
was 3 days before the Day of the African Child. So imagine these are African children, a video is coming out on them demeaning themselves 3 days before their
Hmm.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you found out about it, you decided to march to the Chinese embassy in Malawi. In a country like Malawi, where the Chinese are pretty much they control the economy, the government has rolled out the red carpet. Was that awkward for you?
It was very awkward, very awkward. But then we had to stand strong. Someone
Mm,
has to protect the child. Yeah.
yes. And what happened when you got there?
We had a lot of security. That's one of
Uh-huh.
the things. I think they were scared that we'd march because we're university students, so it cause trouble. But what they don't understand is we're fighting for a child, so we wouldn't try and cause any trouble for the children until our children get justice. So we marched
Mm,
properly, we went to them and we talked, we made our points. And we're going to continue saying that until our children get justice.
mhm. Now, Betty, the justice we talk about is the fact that these children have been exploited.
Yes.
If you can just perhaps inform our viewers and our listeners who don't know what it is that we're talking about. The videos. I'm showing a picture of one of those, a screen grab of one of those videos where the children say in Chinese, "Good luck for the exams," and they're dancing and they're wearing Chinese clothing, and there are other videos later. The one that did the rounds that actually got very controversial was the one where the children are chanting, "I'm a black monster. I'm a black monster. My IQ is low." Tell us about how those children have been exploited. I see Comfort is back.
Yes. Okay, so the children have been exploited because what people don't understand is that this is a whole market. As the
Mm-hmm.
first video you pointed out on the fact that the children are blessing people and telling them good luck on your exams. There's a whole market in China where there's a blessing industry where people make videos to bless other people. You know how religion is different? In China, they actually believe that these children are sending blessings to them. There are even reports of newspapers on how recently Shanghai was under lockdown. People in Shanghai were so scared about COVID, they were buying these videos, wishing themselves luck. Videos made by children in Malawi, in Africa, children who don't even know that their videos are being sold. Videos going at over 10,000 Malawi kwacha, which is like 10 US dollars. These children get absolutely nothing. This is what we mean by exploitation. The fact that you're using children's faces, making a lot of money, and the children get absolutely nothing. These children are completely ignorant of this whole industry that is out there. One of the
Mm-hmm.
children is a whole poster boy. There are thousands of websites with his face on them. He's practically a logo for the blessing industry. But does he get acknowledgement? No. People don't even know where he comes from. And he's a Malawian child. And no one has even thought of fighting for him. Because these people are
Mm-hmm.
making money and he's getting nothing, suffering in a village somewhere in Malawi.
Comfort, I hope you are able to hear us now. Um, I just wanted to find out from you, Comfort, in terms of this perpetrator, the Uncle Susu that we are hearing of. I can't recall his real name right now. What is the story with him? Has he been arrested? Is he standing trial in Malawi? Are you following up on that?
Okay, so the basic issue right now is that Susu is in Malawi. He's been extradited from Zambia. That's where he was apprehended and was sent to Malawi some 2 days ago, and is has been remanded at Maula prison in Lilongwe, and has since been denied bail by a senior resident magistrate here, as it has been established that he's a flight risk and that he could possibly interfere with witnesses who are children and could be easily manipulated by him. So, for us, this is a very good development that he's in police custody awaiting charges, because this is the first thing that we wanted to be done when we were protesting against his acts. So I'm not sure if that's the question you asked, because
Yes.
I had a little bit of a breakage
Mm,
as you were asking the question, but
yes,
I hope that that
that
is
is the
the right
correct.
answer.
That is the correct answer. Comfort, I'm still with you, Comfort, but I would like to find out from you and get a sense of the collective, if there is rage, I mean outrage by ordinary Malawian citizens. There were a few hundred students that marched to the Chinese embassy that you organized last week, or was it last month after the video came out? But tell me about ordinary Malawians. How do they feel about this situation, the story?
Well, naturally, when the issue came out in Malawi, when we found out that our children were being exploited right under our noses, obviously there was a lot of outrage. I think individually as well as a community. That's why we received so much support on the protest that we organized last month. Um, you will notice that the main issue that arose is that even the guardians and the parents of these children were ignorant to the
Mm,
fact that the children were being exploited. And the story that came out was that Malawians were at the forefront of letting their own children be exploited under their noses because they're ignorant. So it wasn't only the children that were um, that were being insulted, but it was also the parents, it was also the guardians and Malawians at large, because they had no idea what was going on. They had no idea that this man who came under the pretense of helping Malawian children was actually just exploiting them for financial gain. So when we found
mm,
out that that was what actually was going on, we were outraged, and hence we decided to do something about it, by holding those protests that we did in June last month.
mhm. Betty, we saw a statement by the Malawi government, and they were, Malawi people. Everybody knows of it, are one of the most friendly in Africa. Malawi people, you're not going to get any trouble from Malawi people. They're not aggressive people. Everybody loves Malawians. But this time Malawians are not happy. They are unimpressed. The government put out a very stern statement. Uh, is this capturing the mood of the general population,
Yeah,
Betty?
this is capturing the mood of the general population. Because
Mm,
like the day the video circulated by BBC, they aired the program. We had various radio stations which reach out to locals, air this story. And I heard one of the locals mention from Mulanje, he's like, we have people in our village who bring foreigners into our village. They take videos, they take pictures of us, and we never know what they do with these things. This is an example, and these people were angry. They're like, okay, so what is happening to our pictures? This is coming out. So what does that mean about our pictures, our videos? This means we're also being exploited somewhere. We're also on someone's poster somewhere, and people are angry. And this is why we'll
mm.
continue with this until the children get justice.
Right. Comfort. What does that justice look like for the children, Comfort? Is it compensation? Is it some sort of money that will be given to the family of those children that were used in those videos? And how do you even begin tracking them down? Because there's hundreds of videos. It's a whole industry. I mean, the name of the documentary, Racism for Sale. People buy these messages that are acted out by African children. Let's say majority are Malawian children. How does one track down every video to make sure that every child used in every poster, in every video, is properly compensated?
Okay, so compensation and having the websites shut down were at least two of our demands in the petition.
Hmm.
We understand that this individual or individuals have been benefiting greatly from these children, and we demanded from the Malawian government as well as the Chinese government and other stakeholders to ensure that the money that they have benefited through these children is sent back to Malawi, and these children it can be put in a trust to help with the educational and psychosocial needs of the Malawian children that have been victimized. We also demanded that these websites shut down, and from our independent research, there was an indication that indeed one of those websites was shut down. I think Betty can collaborate with me on this one. Um, One of the demands that we made was that the government should work with us to ensure that the money is tracked and come to Malawi to help these children. And we have the assurance that now that Tutu is in the custody of police, during his trial, I think that one of the things that the state will look towards to is compensation for the children. And I think that the states of Malawi and China will be more inclined to listen to these demands because um, the law then would take its rightful course on the matter. Yes.
Mm. Betty, I have a question for you.
Yes.
And I started this earlier when I said, how awkward it was because everybody was at the Chinese embassy. The elephant in the room. China has done a lot for many African states, and I think Malawi being one of those countries in terms of infrastructure development, investment, and so on. African governments, as I said, have put out the red carpet for Chinese business people, and some of them come from the Chinese government. How do you think this particular incident is going to impact on that relationship between the various, or let's just say the Malawi government and Chinese nationals that want to come there and invest or do business or take part in the economy? And I want Comfort to answer the same as well. I'm interested to see if she's got a different take on it. Yes.
Okay, my view is that this will, okay, in our relationship with China, I think they will take us now, start taking us seriously as a country. Because if you
Mm,
really see this issue through, they'll understand that, okay, Malawi is not a country to just walk over. There are actually people who actually care about their human rights. There are people who actually
mm,
follow up if we do something wrong. And this is why they're going to start respecting us. We actually hold them accountable, they won't. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to hold them accountable. If they want to continue doing business with us, they will, because they understand what the business means to them and what it means to
mm,
us. But even at that, we still need them to respect our human rights. And they will have to do that, especially the children's human rights. People coming from China to Malawi need to know that Malayan children are not to be used. Malawian children are to be protected like the children that they have left in China. They're at the same level. And as children, their protection comes first, meaning their human rights need to be protected. And their human rights cannot be protected if they're buying videos made by African children where the children benefit absolutely nothing, where the child doesn't
Mm.
even know that the video is being sold. So they need to understand that as a country, as a continent, we're taking this seriously. We need them to respect us, and they will learn to respect us.
Fantastic. Comfort?
And I think to add on what Betty has said, we already know that human rights are inviolable, especially children's rights. And China is a state that understands respect and honor. And I don't think that they would weaponize the protest that we did, standing up for our children, to take that as a means to maybe make our relations with them go sour. No, I think then that would raise another issue on their part. I think that the best thing that they would do now is to stand with us, ensuring that justice is served, to ensure that these children are protected from not just this one individual, but if there are other individuals, and we're sure that there are more, including Malawians, that take part in this horrendous industry, exploiting children, perhaps not just in Malawi, it could be happening in your own state as well, South Africa, could be happening in
Mm.
Zimbabwe, Zambia, or other African states that rely on China and its resources. So if they understand that human rights are important, especially the need to protect children's rights, I don't think that they would be at the forefront to say that because this little country Malawi did this, then we will do this. No, then that would
Mm.
raise another serious international issue as well.
Now, I think the rest of us are rooting for Malawians. We're rooting for you, university students, young as you are, and we want you to keep up the fight because we were horrified. I don't have to be Malawian to be horrified by what we
Yeah,
saw. You
yes,
know,
yes.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Thank
I
you.
was, oh, thank you. You're welcome. I was talking about the elephant in the room. China African relationships in Africa. I think this is going to really put some perspective because not only were they making our children say those horrendous things about themselves, about black people, but
Yes,
we also got an insight as to how they really think about us. Because the language barrier, we don't know what they're saying. The chances of African learning Mandarin, I mean, it sounds like a very complex language, but the documentary actually made it very clear to the rest of us what some of them think of us.
exactly. And you know what's funny is that in this village of Njewa,
Mm,
where this man is operating from, the chief actually did not want this man to go there. He stated that the language barrier would be a problem because they would not understand each other. He emphasized that he even tried to speak to Susu in English, to ensure that maybe some form of communication is established, but apparently the man could only understand Chinese, and the chief did not understand how this man would help his community if they're not able to understand each other. But apparently there were some other government forces at play, and the man was allowed to operate in JY anyway, and then kind of like enabled this exploitation, even though the leader of the place did not want this man there, because maybe in
mm,
hindsight he had an idea that nothing good can come out of it if we're able to communicate. If there's a language barrier, obviously nothing good can come out of something. So I agree with you.
mm. Betty, the whole issue about that video that I think the issue here is also is the fact that they were not being paid for their participation. But the biggest issue here was about that one about the black. I'm a black monster. I have a low IQ, and these kids are saying it in Mandarin. Surely that must have touched a nerve when you saw that.
Okay, it did. Okay, but this is more than just about the exploitation. This is about the children's dignity.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, you're making someone say something bad about themselves and they do not understand what they're saying. One of the most basic human rights we have, every single person, including children, is dignity. You cannot violate someone's dignity just because you wake up and you're like, okay, I want to make a joke. Let me violate someone's dignity. Let me make them say something bad about themselves, let alone children. These are children that were less than 10 years old, some were over 10, but they're still children, children who need protection, children who don't know half of the time everything that is happening. They need guidance. But here you are, you're guiding them in the wrong direction. If this child knew what they were saying, if the way they'll be like, okay, maybe this is true. Maybe we are monsters. Maybe we don't have any knowledge whatsoever. This just goes to show you that, yeah, it really did hit a nerve. Personally, as a person who was learning Mandarin, I stopped learning for a whole week because I was like,
Wow.
wait, this is what you think about us? You actually think we have low IQ? I'm a person who's been going to school. I'm very good in school. And you're saying us Malawians, because if you talk about our children, you're saying Malawians. We are monsters and we have low IQ. It was very
Yeah.
insulting.
Hmm.
Mm. Comfort, you were saying, Comfort, you can come in there.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with what Betty was
I
saying.
see. I see.
Yeah, children are very impressionable. You tell them these
Mm.
things, abusive things mostly, they will grow up with them. They will be embedded in their spirit, and they will grow up thinking that they're worthless. They will be growing up thinking that they can never amount to anything because somebody else told them that they're not. I think the issue with us is that when somebody who is older than us or bigger than us or somebody who has more money tells us something about ourselves, we will believe it to be true. And if it's said to us from a very young age, we will grow up thinking those things. So what this man did, telling our children that even though they did not know, but if somebody were to come and tell them that, did you know that what you were saying means this? They will grow up to remember those things for the rest of their lives.
Mm.
And when they do something wrong somehow, somewhere, they will think, oh, it's because I'm a black monster. It's because I have a low IQ. That's why this is happening. That's why I'm doing this. But in essence, it's not true at all. This was just
Mm.
an evil act by an evil man trying to make a quick buck over the lives of innocent children. And it should not be
Mm.
tolerated. It should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and these children should be rehabilitated at the cost of this man, be it his state China or be it in his personal capacity. But we must save our children. We must help our children to ensure that this sort of thing never happens again and they realize their worth.
Absolutely. We have one of our viewers that's watching on Facebook, Angela Barco, and she has shared a comment. I'm going to put it on the screen. She says, "I would rather deny them. I would imagine she's referring to the Chinese. I would rather deny them financial gain than to bend the knee to them." And she goes on to say, especially if they wish to do business, they must respect children, and racism is not acceptable. The sacrifice of children for financial gain should not be allowed, should not be permitted. And that's Angela Barco watching there on our Facebook platform. Betty, I just want to ask, in terms of the demands, you know, you alluded to the demands that you made to the Chinese embassy. One of them, you said that Comfort has mentioned that you know the children should be rehabilitated, should go for therapy at the cost of the Chinese state or the cost of this man, Uncle Su, as they call him. What are some of the other demands? And I see one of them has already been acceded to, and that is some of them have been taken down. The website has, you know, some of these videos have been taken down. But what are the other demands that you can share with us?
Okay, the other demands, we want to work with both China and Malawi in drafting a sort of agreement where when
Hmm.
foreigners come to Malawi, they need to sign, where they say, okay, I know these are the rights that children have, these are the rights that Malawian people have. I'm going to respect them at all costs. I'll not do the same that Susu has done, and I'll make sure that I protect each and every one of their rights and not violate them. That is one of the things that we're trying to get to be done. We're going to work together with China and Malawi to ensure that this is done so that all foreigners coming, they understand that in Malawi we have human rights and those human rights should be protected, especially the children's human rights. Besides that, we also want the Chinese government, because this is their national that has done this. They need to ensure that our children, besides the rehabilitation, we have children who haven't gone to school adequately. So they've missed, this guy's been here for 6 years, so they've missed 6 years of schooling. So they need to compensate that by building schools adequately so these children can go to a proper school and learn, so that they are not in the same level, so that they're not here where they are right now, miss after missing 6 years of school, so they can go back to school. That's what
Mm,
we want from them.
all right. Comfort. I think before we
So
go, I'd like to give the last word to you, Comfort.
yes. So besides the demands towards the Chinese government, we must understand that there are two duty bearers in this scenario. We have the Chinese state and the Malawi state, and there
Mm,
are people in Malawi that did authorize the coming in of this individual. Whether he gave them the reason, a fake reason for coming in, whether they knew the truth as to why he was coming in, but somebody cleared this man, and somebody has to pay. If they cleared this man, investigations must be done as to who this person is that stamped the letters that allowed this monster to come in. Yes, I said what I
mm,
said, because if our children are monsters, then his acts are monstrous too, and that makes him evil as well. So they need to have their own investigations within their own parastatals, whether it's the Ministry of Gender, whether it is the Ministry of Tourism, or whoever it is that was responsible for this man coming here. They have to pay because they had a duty to know, to do background checks or whatever it is in their power on any other individual coming in here exploiting our children. If they had any records, if they knew that this person wasn't supposed to be here but came here anyway and did these atrocities for 6 years, that person must also pay. So that was also one of our demands that we had
thank
in the petition.
mm. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I'm so thrilled that we were able to have this conversation. And from the Salam Media viewers and listeners, I can tell you that we are behind you 100% of the way. We look forward to hearing an update from you, Betty Mlauzi and Comfort Mankhwazi. Thank you so much for your time and keep up the fight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We'll
You're
update
welcome.
you every time of any
Absolutely.
progress that we make.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, that was Comfort Mankwazi, and she is from the University of Malawi Child Rights Clinic, and she's the president of the Child Rights Clinic. And we also have Betty Mlauzi, the former president of the Child Rights Clinic, talking to us there about that racism for sale video that was published by the BBC. Undercover, the lady went and she found out who this person was that was making these videos and making lots of money, about $10 per video. You would get onto this platform, buy the video, and these are messages that children um, who were filmed in remote parts of Malawi have been taught to say. And some of the messages are you know um, uh, innocent messages like "Good luck for your exams," "I hope you get well soon," and so on. So it's almost like stickers that we send to each other on WhatsApp, but these are actually services that you buy on the internet. And one of the messages was like absolutely uh, racist, and people then got outraged, and the documentary was made. And I'm so glad that we spoke to Comfort and Betty, who are doing their utmost to make sure that whoever is responsible will be brought to book. And of course, we welcome your comments on this story as well. Our WhatsApp line 061 766 0355. And that brings us to the end of the Africa segment. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's Islamic finance. And this month is National Savings Month. Stay tuned.